Cabin Fever 2 is the sequel to the Eli Roth original film Cabin Fever, which at the time garnered a lot of attention and praise from horror fans. It was about a group of young people who go to a cabin by a lake and get infected by a flesh-eating disease and promptly go a bit loopy and sort of murderous situations ensue. Cabin Fever 2 Spring Break is more of a comedy sequel, or horror comedy sequel I should say. It's set in and around a high school in the local area, and through pretty straightforward conventions, namely water that's infected gets delivered to their school, they end up getting infected around the time of the prom. And we see how our sort of group of heroes come, nerds, because it has to be nerds in these type of films, tries to fight their way out of the school, all while trying not to get infected or to avoid getting killed by people who are acting irrationally. This is a film that was disowned by its director, Ty West, and I think he even tried to do an Alan Smithy on it, where if you're a member of the Guild of Directors up until recently, if you wanted to disown yourself from a film, you could get their permission to put the name Alan Smithy on it, sort of erase yourself from history so it doesn't appear on any searches or records for you anywhere. This didn't happen because I think he wasn't a member of the appropriate guild, or they stopped doing that at the time. It's not that bad. It gets going quickly. There's plenty of explanation while things are happening, which is good. There's no sort of full stop exposition scene. All the characters are fun and likeable. No one seems to be out of place or miscast in this. It's full of good gory practical effects, which are great. Lots of sort of pussy type stuff and people getting cut up. There's a bit where he gets his hand chopped off and then cauterized with a blowtorch in the CBT room. That's good. And there's just lots of little horrible, nasty, grimy things, which is what you're watching a film like this for. But it also has a sort of comic edge to it as well. It's got fun kills in it. So when people do meet their end or things happen, there's a slightly sort of twisted, dark humour to a lot of it. All except for one where something involving a pregnant girl occurs, which just feels sort of jarring and a little bit like maybe it came from a slightly different edit of the film, where it was going for a much darker tone perhaps, because it does take you out of it quite a bit and it just feels a bit like it's kind of sport me fun. But otherwise really good, fun setup throughout. It's got a really low rating on a lot of sort of critical sites, and I'm not sure why, because ultimately this kind of film isn't one that's looking to win an Oscar. It's the kind of film that is looking to be enjoyed by people sort of on a Saturday night with a couple of drinks and just sort of go, ooh, that type of gross out type horror comedy film. And it fulfills that role perfectly well. There's lots of worse things you can watch. I put it in the same arena as films like Deathgasm, where it knows exactly what it's doing. It's not trying to be super serious. It's not trying to be a straight through comedy, because it does have darker tones and some issues to it. But ultimately it entertains, and that's the best part. It entertains for an hour and a half. So if you're in the market for that kind of film, then this is certainly one to check out if you see it on streaming or cheap online somewhere, or even in the bargain bin at the DVD shop.